This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. So because of how this week has played out and the news that surrounded this week played out, we spent a lot of time talking about what Deshaun Watson did wrong and what that means for the Browns going forward. But there were other things that went wrong on Sunday that also need to be corrected by this Sunday in order for the Browns to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars week 2. So this video, we're going to talk about that. And the first things I need to be improved this week versus last week are the performances from Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey. What we saw last week, even if you think Watson is the worst quarterback in the NFL, even if you think Watson is putting together some of the worst quarterback play you've ever seen, even if that's true, it's still not an acceptable level of offense. It was putrid. The Browns, and I'm going to put the putridness in perspective because there's a lot of people excusing it or blaming it on one thing or the other or saying, oh, well, it wasn't that bad. And I think we all need to understand from a lot of different perspectives, whether you're a Kevin Stefanski guy, a Deshaun Watson guy, this is a performance from everybody involved in week 1 that is inexcusable. And I think pointing fingers at who's responsible is pointless because nobody, no matter what the factors were that went into it, should have performed this output. Point blank, period. And I'll tell you how bad it was. I'll put it in perspective. And maybe if you don't think that, you'll think that by the end of me putting this in perspective. The Browns went 3 and out or worse 10 times in week 1 versus Dallas Cowboys. They have 14 drives. Put that together. 10 out of 14 drives is 71.4%. The Browns went 3 and out 71.4% of the time. That's horrible. But maybe you need more convincing, right? Maybe you think that happens every once in a while, that's normal. It's not. To put this in perspective, Johnny Manziel's debut, right? I looked up some of the worst Browns games we can remember. Johnny Manziel's debut, the Cleveland Browns offense went 3 and out 80% of the time. We're talking about a performance that is only separating itself by less than 9 percentage points from rookie year Johnny Manziel, from a 2-time coach of the year, a highly decorated offensive coordinator, and a 3-time Pro Bowler at quarterback. That's beyond unacceptable to only be slightly better than what Johnny Manziel produced in his first game, when we know that Johnny Manziel is Johnny Manziel. But it doesn't stop there. If you need more convincing, I can put this in even more perspective. Let's talk about this week of football, because the league has changed over the last 10 years. If you look at the Atlanta versus Pittsburgh game, that's one of the most inept offensive games that we saw all week. Low scoring football game, didn't get over 30 points. Obviously devoid of offense on both sides of the ball. Well, guess what? If you combine the amount of times the Atlanta Falcons went 3 and out and the amount of times the Pittsburgh Steelers went 3 and out, they would have combined went 3 and out less times than the Cleveland Browns. Atlanta and Pittsburgh combined, both of them combined for 7 3 and outs. The Browns had 10. Or worse, right? 3 and outs or worse. So sometimes you just throw an interception on the second play. It's worse than the 3 and out. So the Browns had 10 of those. The Falcons and the Pittsburgh Steelers combined had 7. It's beyond an unacceptable number. I can continue to put this in perspective. Maybe you think, oh, well, Kirk Cousins, and maybe you think Justin Fields, and then maybe you're one of the people who blame it all on the level of quarterback play. It's all Deshaun Watson's fault. And okay, cool. Let's see what an offense with a known bad quarterback can do. So let's look at the Panthers' performance on Sunday. Bryce Young and the Panthers went 3 and out 7 times. You went 3 and out more and at a higher percentage than Bryce Young and the Panthers on Sunday. We don't need to sugarcoat how bad it was. Look, I am one for bringing context to things that people are going to say are negative that I find to be not as negative as the media is making it out to be. But this game was as bad as everybody says it was. And there's more stats to prove it. But we need to get here on this. That game was bad. No matter who you want to be an apologist for, that game was bad. And even if you think that it was all on the quarterback, I'm sorry. I don't care how bad your quarterback is. Kevin and Ken Dorsey have to produce a better offensive output than that. I've seen them do it. PJ Walker's been the quarterback. We've done better on offense. DTR's been the quarterback. We've done better on offense. We've seen them be able to put together offenses with Nick Mullins. Remember him? We ever put together an offense with that. So why can't you do it with Deshaun Watson? And the question is, to me, if you can't at least get to the PJ Walker point with Deshaun Watson, then why is he even out there? So, and that's on Kevin, right? That's on Kevin and Ken. If you can't get past a certain level of offense, you're not a victim. You're the head coach. You can bench the quarterback if you need to. You can put things around the quarterback if you need to, but you got to get better than that. I don't care what the reasoning is behind it. There's no excuse for that many 3 and outs because Pittsburgh's offense is not great and they didn't have that high percentage of a 3 and out, not even close. The Atlanta Falcons played awful on offense, still didn't even come close to that percentage of 3 and outs. The Bryce Young effect in Carolina didn't even come close. You're putting up close to Johnny Manziel debut numbers. That can't happen. It's not acceptable for anybody. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, not acceptable, but also Ken Dorsey, Kevin Stefanski, 2-time coach of the year. Can't have that happen. Like, you have a 2-time coach of the year to make sure that no matter who's out there at quarterback, that can't happen. That's a stain on Kevin, so you can't have that happen. You got to be better than that. The passing offense I don't care what is going on there. You got to figure out a way to make it more serviceable than that because that number is just abhorrent from the Browns offense. And it's the kind of number that if it keeps happening, destroys the stability of this franchise. So no, unacceptable. Can't happen. Not even close to for Kevin Stefanski and Ken Dorsey. Got to find a way to get some easy offense. Got to find a way to get first downs. Shouldn't be this long into the game that we get a first. You got to find a way to do it. If it's the quarterback that's the problem, it doesn't matter. Got to find a way to get the first downs. Let's talk about some of the other players that need to step up outside of the coaching staff. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman all had bad games in this one. Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman were especially bad. Cedric Tillman had 2 penalties. He didn't get 1 target. He got 2 penalties. I mean, come on, dog. Come on. Like, I thought we got over this with Cedric Tillman, right? Because both of his penalties were illegal procedures or illegal offense, right? Both those penalties were deemed on him. Come on, man. I thought we were past this point where we're wondering if you know the offense because those penalties, those are the exact nature of penalties for Cedric Tillman that aren't acceptable anymore, right? Because that's indicating that he doesn't know where he needs to be or he's not confident. He's not in place for whatever reason. Got to fix it, man. Got to fix it. You didn't get 1 target, but you got 2 penalties. It's an awful game. Awful game. Elijah Moore, couple drops in this one. Look, he was open sometimes, but I don't think he did a good job adjusting to the ball or adjusting to Deshaun Watson. When Deshaun Watson did have some passing lanes to make open there, did a horrible job blocking along the perimeter. And let's just be honest here. I think all the wide receivers in this one had regrettable days run blocking as wide receivers when they were asked to do it. This is supposed to be one of the staples of Kevin Stefanski's offense, is that the wide receivers can block. A lot of these guys are here because they can block. You got to be able to block. That's part of the job description here for the Cleveland Browns. And then on that penalty front, we kind of talked about it with Cedric Tillman getting 2 penalties, which I think is insane. DeJuan Jones had 3. You can't have 5 penalties between those 2 players and expect a win on offense. So those guys combining for 5 penalties has to improve. DeJuan Jones was fine in straight up pass sets. Like if he was left one-on-one against Michael Parsons, he held his own in those situations. He wasn't an embarrassment there. Where DeJuan Jones ran into trouble are when he's supposed to stunt. Well, when he's supposed to follow a stunt or a twist or pass off a guy, he really struggled with that in pass protection. And also the run blocking was just not great. They put him in better positions to not have to be out there in space like they used to put him out there. So I feel fine about what his struggles were. Just the penalties themselves have to cut down. Cannot have 3 penalties from your right tackle. That's a bad number. All around there. I think the Browns' run game can seriously be something that the Browns can lean on, even without Nick Chubb. They ran the ball decently in the second half, and I think they ran block pretty well as an offensive line. James Hudson was blocking well from a run blocking perspective. The same can be said with Joel and Wyatt and Ethan. I know DeJuan didn't have a great PFF grade, but I thought he was fine doing what he was asked to do in the run blocking game there. So I think there's a lot that can be gleaned from that. I want to see the Browns try to run the ball a little bit more. I know Jacksonville is kind of built to stop the run, but I want to see if the Browns can run it against a really good run defense and create some offense there if they really give it a try. What we know the Browns cannot do is throw the ball 45, 55 times this game versus Jacksonville. So you're going to have to run this ball more, even though it's a better front, even though it might not be the best way to beat them. I would like to run the ball to see if that can be a strength and something you can lean on more. Because if it is the case that you cannot rely on the passing game like in week 1, you got to have some kind of alternative and you got to be able to run the ball. Again, you don't get to 10 3-and-outs because you're running the ball at a high clip. That's because you gave up on running the ball, even though it was successful in the drives where you did have success, all 4 of them. So that is where I'm at with the Cleveland Browns. The players that I think outside of Deshaun Watson really need to step up. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Hit that like button. Peace.